Welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today we're going to be doing a video about NIO. Before I start the video, guys, please make sure to leave a like on the video below. Subscribe to the channel for more awesome content. Join the family, guys. Let's go on our investor journey together. So today we're going to be talking about NIO, and as you guys see, NIO was trading very well today, around $54, and all of a sudden we see this huge drop all the way down to $49, in the matter of seconds. And a lot of people are wondering, what's actually happening. Well, as you guys know, US and China tensions have really started to kind of ramp up a little bit, and US has proceeded to start to delist Chinese stocks, which is obviously putting a scare on the overall Chinese ETFs and the Chinese stocks in themselves. So why did NIO stock drop, 5% today? And, does NIO stock actually have the chance of being delisted? Well, an article came out that basically said that US could potentially delist Alibaba and Tencent, and those are two huge Chinese companies that are listed on the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange in themselves, which is really starting to scare investors altogether. And it's starting to lead a bunch of other Chinese stocks to not do so well. We had XPeng, Li Auto, NIO, and all these other Chinese companies that just basically started to sink after news came out, that the US could potentially delist Alibaba and Tencent as well. And for me, do I think that NIO stock is going to get delisted? I personally don't think NIO stock is going to get delisted, but as tensions have started to increase, a lot of people are starting to figure out now, that NIO probably does have a potential chance of getting delisted. I want people to know my standpoint overall, that even if NIO did get delisted from the NASDAQ overall, I would still be bullish on the stock. I would still keep my investment overall. And I would still support the company in itself. I think NIO is doing a great thing with the EV market really expanding and evolving. I know that NIO is going to be around for a very long time. NIO really surrounded by a lot of good news and backed by a lot of big-time investors, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America. I don't even think that they're really too worried about these overall, this kind of Chinese drama that's going on with the United States and the overall delisting in themselves. Just know, what were to happen if NIO stock were to get delisted? Where would it go? Where would it trade? Just know, if NIO stock were to actually get delisted from the NASDAQ, it would just trade on over-the-counter. Now, I know there's a lot of big misconceptions with over-the-counter stocks. I want people to know that just because a stock trades over-the-counter, it does not mean that the company cannot be successful. It does not mean that, the company is not going to still do very, very well. And it doesn't really mean much for the stock itself. But overall, I know a lot of people are really starting to get kind of worried about the China-US tensions. And like I said, in my personal opinion, do I think that NIO stock is going to get delisted? No, I don't really think so. A bill did pass that, if Chinese stocks don't abide by U.S. auditing guidelines, then yes, there is a potential that the stocks could get delisted. And like I said, these are not really looking good for the overall Chinese stocks, but in my personal opinion, I don't think NIO stock is going to get delisted. I still think NIO is a great buy, $51.30. I took the opportunity and bought some on the dip in themselves because, like I said, whether this stock trades on the NASDAQ, the New York Stock Exchange, or whatever, or if it trades over the counter, for me, I'm still bullish on the overall stock in itself. I still think it is worth the investment, but I wanted to put investors in the loop overall. A lot of people are really starting to get worried about whether NIO stock is actually going to get delisted. And to be frankly honest, yes, there's a potential chance for any Chinese stock to get delisted if they're not abiding by what the United States is actually telling them to do. So yes, NIO does have somewhat of a chance to get delisted, but for me, like I said, delisted or not, I'm still keeping my investment. But in my personal opinion, I don't think NIO stock is going to get delisted. Obviously, everything I say in my videos is just my personal opinion, so I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen. But like I said, China-US has really started to intensify a little bit, and especially when it comes to Chinese stocks. If you guys didn't know, the United States has already delisted 3 Chinese stocks. I'm not really too familiar with the names. I was reading up on the article, I believe yesterday, that they already went ahead and delisted 3 Chinese stocks. And when it comes to NIO and Alibaba and Tencent as well, overall, yes, the stocks really kind of went into a downward spiral in today's midday trading session as the heated tension between them continues to rise. But overall, I want you guys to know that, if NIO stock were to get delisted, what would happen to your shares? Would you lose your position completely? And I want people to know, kind of, inform people what happens on the overall delisting process in itself. So if NIO stock were to get delisted from the NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, obviously you would not be able to access your shares from this brokerage, Robinhood, or even Webull as well. Basically, what would happen is your shares would transfer. Your shares don't disappear. Your investment does not disappear, and your money does not go away. It's not like if you have $5,000 invested in a company, or if you have $5,000 invested in NIO stock, it does not completely just disappear. You don't lose your investment altogether. All you have to do is just touch up with Robinhood or Webull or whatever brokerage you use if it does not allow over-the-counter trading, and some brokerages that do allow over-the-counter trading are like TD Ameritrade and Charles Schwab, and stuff like that allow access to over-the-counter stocks. But overall, all you have to do is touch up Robinhood, and then they give you a transfer notice that basically your shares and your position are transferred somewhere else, right? So you don't lose your investment altogether. Your investment doesn't go to zero. NIO would just proceed to trade over the counter. Some brokerages do not allow access to over-the-counter stocks, so you would have to download one that would. But and then the stock would actually just trade on over the counter, which generally does have a little bit less volume than the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ, just simply because all brokerages do allow access to the New York Stock Exchange. It is the biggest exchange in the world. So just know that that's what would happen if NIO stock were to end up getting delisted. You don't lose your position. You would still keep the same amount of shares. You would still keep the same amount of money invested and stuff like that. But if NIO stock were to actually get delisted, or there was a sign that the stock was getting delisted, I would expect a massive sell-off. But for me, I'm still bullish on the company. Even if the stock got delisted, I'm not selling my position. I would never sell my position in NIO because I do know that the company is going to be growing for a very long time. And like I said, NIO stock does have the potential chance to get delisted. It is a Chinese company listed on the NASDAQ. I want people to always just be informed and prepared for whatever comes to worse. If people are out there asking, is NIO, does it have the potential chance to get delisted from the NASDAQ? And like I said, this big drop we saw here today was just the U.S. basically saying that, they may go after Alibaba and Tencent, like I said, are two huge Chinese companies. And, this kind of sent a lot of the Chinese stocks in a downward spiral. As you can see here, NIO was having a pretty good trading session. And then, 10 minutes later, the stock dropped 7% in a matter of minutes. So I want people to stay informed, that for me, no matter what happens to NIO, if it gets delisted or not, I'm still going to remain bullish. But I want people to understand, the process. What would happen if NIO stock actually did get delisted? Does it have a potential chance to actually get delisted? And, really just to answer his questions. And hopefully this video was super informative. And with that being it, that's all we'll have to say about the video. Let me know down in the comment section below, guys, what you think of NIO stock. Do you think NIO stock is going to get delisted from the NASDAQ? If you guys own NIO, how many shares do you guys own, and what's your average? If NIO stock were to get delisted, would you guys sell your position, or would you just trade it on over the counter? I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. With that being said, guys, thank you. Have a great day.